those who don't know what salutations means, that's greetings. So salutations, ladies. That's right. I am Latasha Lee. First of all, let me thank Donisha and Kim for inviting me to this beautiful event. It is beautiful, simply gorgeous. Looking out here, all of the smiling faces, and looking at all of you that came out to join in this mother and daughter event to show that you love them. It's not too many young ladies that hear that now. They don't hear from their mothers and they don't hear from the fathers. They don't hear it enough. So this event is just a wonderful thing to me because I love empowerment. I love helping to build young ladies' self-esteem, and not just young ladies, but men, women, children, everybody. I encourage any and everybody along the way because that's what God calls us to do. Just to give you, Mom gave me a big introduction. She almost made me cry, but I'm a crybaby. So let me tell you about me. I received my bachelor's degree in organizational communication. So that N word, communication, means I love to talk. I love communicating with people, but one thing that I found out while I was in school was that all of us are not effective communicators. And I wasn't an effective communicator. I love to talk, but it's about what you're saying when you open your mouth. Because the Bible tells us there's life and death in the power of your tongue. We can literally kill someone with our tongue. And me, Tasha Lee, I used to do that. I grew up, and she was speaking about self-esteem. I think back when I was in elementary school, all of my friends were light-skinned, and I was the darkest one out of the bunch. All of them had long hair, and it was thick, and my hair was long, but it was so thin, and it was wavy, and I hated it because everybody else could wear the Afro puffs and all that, and I wanted to do what everybody else was doing, but I couldn't because I was different. I couldn't understand how I was different. Just like Mom said, she told me all the time, you're beautiful. But I didn't believe it on the inside because I was comparing myself to all of my peers and all of my friends. And a lot of our self-esteem has to do with our fathers, our relationships with our fathers, our relationship with our mothers, our relationships with our family members and our friends. That's what we usually judge how we are or who we are based on what they think or what they say. But God said something different. He knew you before he formed you in your mother's womb. So he created you just how he wanted you to be. You have to tap on the inside and see, who am I? Well, I'm glad you just asked, who am I? I'm a daughter of the King on an assigned task. I share my story wherever I may go because my God changed me when I was feeling extremely low. See, a lot of people see the outer you, but they can't see the bruises that are on the inside. I stand before you, I am a miracle and a testimony. Probably every sin, and I'm not glorifying sin at all. I'm merely sharing my testimony to bring awareness to what's out here. I've been through everything under the sun that the Bible even talks about except for physically murdering somebody. But the enemy tried to use that against me and keep me silent about everything that I dealt with. I've been in abusive relationships. I've been in everything you can think of. Drama. I was a full-fledged drama queen. Full-fledged. How many of us will honestly say, I've been a drama queen? Admittance is the first step, ladies. Admittance. When they say if you look at your friends, look at your circle, and that gives a reflection of who you are. You are known by the company that you keep, ladies. Birds of a feather usually do flock together. They usually do. Sometimes God may, get in that thing to change things and place you in the center of a whole lot of mess just so you can be the light in the midst of darkness. And God used me as that light in so many situations that when I was going through all of the things that I was going through, I couldn't understand for the life of me. I was in an abusive relationship for years with my son's father. After that abuse, towards the end of that abuse, I was raped and robbed off of Winchester and Gilway. I was coming home, and it was during gang initiation time. And my mom, I went over her house late, and she told me, it's gang initiation time, so if you see anybody behind you, with the lights out and blinking, keep going. Well, I ended up seeing somebody behind me right when I pulled in my apartment, and I saw him. I realized he was back there, and so I went slow. I kind of went past my apartment just to see if he was really following me. Well, he decided he turned off as if he was going home, and he backed up and got out of the car. I watched him do all of this, and he got out of the car, so I thought it was safe for me to get out of my car and go in the house. Well, I backed up into a parking space that was by a van, and it blocked everything so nobody could see me. And when he came from behind, I was reaching in the car to get my sons out of the car, and he came from behind, and that's what he did. Everything he had to do, right then and there, outside. Someone heard me scream, and she says because my scream silenced within a few seconds, she didn't come outside to check on me. My oldest son was in the street, and he was screaming for daddy, that this man had his mama. But all the things that was going through my head was, Lord, why me? Let me be honest with you. I'm very transparent for a purpose. God calls me a midwife because I want to help other women birth what's inside of them. When I was feeling what I was feeling, I kept saying, God, why me? Before that, I was very promiscuous. As a child, I lost my virginity when I had no other reason to, but because my family members were trying to have sex with me. These are the topics and the issues church won't talk about, because they say what goes on in your house stays in your house. But that's not true, ladies. I'm here to encourage you. If anybody touch you, say anything to you in the wrong way, open your mouth and speak. Tell your mother, tell the person closest to you. If it's happening at school, tell your principal, your teacher. If it's them that's doing it, go to somebody above them, a higher person. Because your voice matters. What you're going through matters. I said that to say that I went through all of that. I came out of the abuse. I kept trying to find myself. I got to the place of trying to kill myself. I wanted to die because of all of this that I've gone through in my life. Having low self-esteem. My father was abusive. My brothers were abusive to their women. So that's what I tended to date, was guys that reminded me of them. I was looking for love in all the wrong places. Well, after the rape experience, I was so mad at God. I was so mad at men in my life that I wanted to be by myself. I didn't want to do anything. So I got involved in church once I finally left that man. So scary. Once I left him, I built myself. I went to work out every day. I was in my word every day. I was active with my kids. But it seemed like things were still coming at me. People were breaking in my house. It just seemed like everything negative, while I was trying to do positive, kept coming at me. Well, ended up, I met this man while I was in church. Y'all, you know, we sometimes look for the men in church, right? I ain't the only one if you single ladies, when they walk in, you looking at their hand like, oh, is he married? Yeah, that was us. We was scoping everything come through the church because we wanted us a good saved man who was in church. Well, one day I wasn't looking for a man. I was trying to leave service, and this other girl was trying to talk to the guy, and he ended up wanting to talk to me. Well, I thought this was the man of my dreams. He did everything that I dreamed a man could possibly do for me. He did the just because. He sent roses to my job. He sent balloonograms to my job. He picked up my sons and dropped them off at daycare and did activities with them. If I had to speak, if I had to just MC a program, whatever I had to do, he was there 15 minutes before I was. I've always been late, but I was here on time today. But he was always there before I was. I thought, wow, he is God sent. This is my husband. I love him. One day my mom came home. We had been dating 5 months in, no sex. I was abstinent and celibate. I was thirsting after God and loving on God. She came home and she said, God said he's married. I was fired. I was mad because he been with me every day, and he can't be married, and he do this and he do that, because I thought because he was in church and father was a bishop and all of these good things, I thought we were just made for each other. Well, he never admitted that he was married, but he never denied it. He just kept saying, you shouldn't be mad at your mama. You know, you should just pray about it. And things just went on for months and months, and the symptoms and signs were starting to come. But I still was thinking, love. I'm just loving this feeling. We doing family activities. I'm with his children, and we just everything. Months later, I found out that he was married, separated from his wife, but he had an 8-week-old baby that I knew nothing about. So if he could hide that from me, he can hide anything from me. There's no chances, there's no nothing for us. So here I am, vulnerable, extremely vulnerable because I'm hurt. Because all of the men in my life have hurt me and let me down. So what you think the enemy does at this point? His son's mother was bisexual. And we ended up, all of us went out for drinks. She showed up. I had never met her in my life. She showed up. We ended up having 8 Long Island margaritas, and I was so drunk, and we started smoking, and the next pill was put in one of my drinks. And I experienced something that I had never experienced in my life. And that's how a lesbian spirit fell on me. The door opened at that point. This is so serious in Memphis right now. This is something that churches want to address. This is something that we as mothers need to address. I don't have daughters. I have 2 teenage sons who are 14 and 16. But I discuss everything with them according to Genesis to Revelation because they need to know. There's nothing that we shouldn't be talking about with our children, no matter what their ages are now. Because BET is telling them. Cartoons is teaching them. Everything that we won't talk about, media is doing it for us. So I came here today to just drop nuggets with you to help you understand that God will change you when you're ready to change your mindset. If you walked in here today and you were feeling kind of down and you feel like your finances are messed up, or your marriage is messed up, or your relationship is messed up, or mom doesn't understand you, I'm standing before you to say, I've been there. I was a rebellious child because my mother and father divorced in elementary, and I was so mad at my mom because I blamed her because my dad was not at home. But he wasn't a faithful man. He was an abusive man. He cheated. He lied. On Fridays, I would have my bags packed, waiting and ready to go to his house. And the same bags would still be packed the next Friday, waiting on him to come pick me up. But if I called and said, Dad, I need $150. They got some new Air Maxes coming out. Oh, he was there. They got new guest outfits coming out. He was there for the money. And then he told me when I was 12 years old, in the 7th grade, going to middle school, he told me if a man can't take care of you better than your dad can, then you don't need him. Well, the only way he was taking care of me was financially. So what did that put in my mindset? And when you're in junior high school, the only men that can give you quick money is what? All right now, we got some real ones in the room. I'm glad you're going to keep it real. So it was at that point, I told you all to say this, when I looked in the mirror, doing all of these transactions, I did not like what I saw. I couldn't say positive things about myself. I only spoke negative things when I looked in the mirror. As you said here, oh, I wanted to be Mary J all day long, honey. I wanted to have a shape, the color of her hair. Because that was the image that was in front of me when I was growing up. Faith Evans, all of them were the role models that we had coming across the television. So I wanted to be like them. So I was trying to keep that kind of image. And in order to dress like them in the Prada and the Gucci and all that, you had to have somebody who had that kind of money. And that was dope. But it wasn't until I found Jesus and developed a relationship. I knew him. I knew of God. But I just didn't have a relationship with him. So it wasn't until I looked in the mirror and I said, okay, what do I see? So now I'm asking you, when you look in the mirror, what do you see? I didn't bring enough sheets, so I'm going to ask all the mothers and daughters to do this exercise together because I love interacting. So I want you to write 10 positive things